In a small village, there lived a bright little girl named Ananya. She was kind, hardworking, and always helped everyone around her. Ever since she was a child, she loved helping people. One day, while walking home from school, Ananya saw an old woman sitting under a tree, looking weak and tired. People walked past her without noticing. Ananya quickly ran to her and asked, "Grandmother, are you okay?" The old woman smiled weakly and said, "I feel dizzy." "Child," Ananya immediately brought water and asked nearby people for help. Soon, a doctor arrived and treated the old woman. Ananya watched carefully as the doctor helped her. Her eyes filled with admiration. She slowly asked the doctor, "Doctor, how does it feel to help people like this?" The doctor smiled and replied, "Saving lives is one of the most beautiful feelings in the world." At that moment, something changed inside Ananya's heart. She looked at the doctor's white coat and whispered to herself, "One day, I will wear that white coat too." Years passed, and Ananya never forgot the promise she made to herself. Every morning, she woke up early, studied hard, and worked tirelessly toward her dream. While other children were playing, Ananya spent hours reading science books and learning about the human body. One day, her teacher noticed her dedication and asked, "Ananya, why do you work so hard every day?" Ananya smiled and replied, "Because one day, I want to become a doctor and help people." Her teacher was impressed and encouraged her to never give up. As the years went by, Ananya became one of the top students in her school. But life was not easy. Her family faced financial difficulties, and many people told her that becoming a doctor would be impossible. Some even said, "Medical college is too expensive. You should choose an easier path." Those words hurt Ananya, but she refused to let them break her spirit. Instead, she studied even harder. Late at night, while everyone was asleep, Ananya continued preparing for her entrance exams. There were moments when she felt tired and discouraged, but whenever she thought about helping patients and saving lives, she found the strength to continue. Finally, the day of the medical entrance exam arrived. Standing outside the examination hall, Ananya took a deep breath and looked at the sky. "This is the first step toward my dream," she whispered. Ananya walked into the examination hall with confidence and determination. She remembered all the late nights, the sacrifices, and the promise she had made years ago. As the exam began, she focused on every question carefully. Hours later, the exam ended. Ananya stepped outside feeling relieved, but now came the hardest part, waiting for the results. Days turned into weeks. Every morning she checked for updates, hoping to see good news. Finally, the results day arrived. With trembling hands, Ananya opened the results website. For a moment, she couldn't believe her eyes. She had passed with an excellent rank. Tears of joy filled her eyes. Her parents hugged her proudly. The entire village celebrated her achievement. Soon, Ananya received admission into a prestigious medical college. On her first day, she stood in front of the college gates and smiled. The journey was just beginning. Medical studies were far more difficult than she had imagined. There were long lectures, endless books, practical sessions, and sleepless nights. Many students felt overwhelmed, but Ananya never forgot why she started. Whenever she felt tired, she remembered the old woman under the tree and the doctor who inspired her. That memory gave her strength to continue. Year after year, she worked harder, learned more, and moved closer to her dream. One day, during her hospital training, she helped a young patient who was frightened and in pain. Ananya comforted the child with a warm smile. The child looked at her and said, "Thank you, doctor." Although she was still a student, those words touched her heart deeply. For the first time, she truly felt how beautiful it was to help someone heal. Several years passed, and Ananya successfully completed her medical studies. Now came the most important day of her life, graduation day. Wearing her white coat and holding her degree certificate, Ananya looked at her parents sitting proudly in the audience. Tears filled her eyes as she remembered her journey, the small village, the old woman under the tree, the long nights of studying, the challenges she had overcome. Everything had led to this moment. After graduation, Ananya joined a hospital as a young doctor. Every day, patients came to her seeking help. Some were worried, some were afraid, some had lost hope, but Ananya treated each patient with kindness and care. One rainy afternoon, an elderly woman arrived at the hospital feeling weak and unwell. Ananya walked into the room to examine her. As she looked closely, she suddenly froze. The elderly woman looked familiar. It was the same woman she had helped years ago under the tree. The woman smiled and slowly said, "I remember you." "Child," Ananya's eyes filled with emotion. The old woman held her hand and said, "That day you helped me without expecting anything in return." Today you have become the doctor you dreamed of being. For a moment, Ananya couldn't speak. She realized that a single act of kindness had changed the course of her life. After treating the woman, Ananya stepped outside and looked at the sky. She gently touched her white coat and smiled. This is exactly where I was meant to be. Years passed, and Dr. Ananya became one of the most respected doctors in the region. Patients trusted her not only because of her medical knowledge, but also because of her kindness. No matter how busy she was, she always listened to her patients with patience and compassion. One day, Ananya returned to her village to attend a health camp. Hundreds of villagers gathered to receive free medical checkups. As she walked through the crowd, she noticed many young children watching her with admiration. One little girl stepped forward and asked, "Doctor, how did you become so successful?" Ananya smiled warmly and sat beside the girl. She pointed to her white coat and said, "This white coat is not just a symbol of a profession. It is a symbol of hard work, kindness, and never giving up on your dreams." The children listened carefully. Ananya then shared her story from helping an old woman under a tree to becoming a doctor. The children felt inspired. The little girl looked at Ananya with shining eyes and said, "One day, I want to become a doctor too." Ananya smiled because she saw herself in that child. As the sun began to set, she looked around the village that had shaped her life. She realized that her dream was never just about wearing a white coat. It was about bringing hope, healing, and happiness to others. That evening, Ananya stood beneath the same tree where her journey had begun years ago. She looked at the sky and whispered, "Dreams do come true when you work for them with all your heart." Moral: no dream is too big when it is powered by hard work, kindness, and determination. Woman Medical Sparkles.